If you have an avocado in your kitchen right now, there is a high chance you are funding a war. Seriously. In Mexico, cartels are now making more money from this fruit than they do from marijuana. They call it green gold. And the toast you eat for breakfast has a hidden price tag that isn't printed on the receipt. It is a price paid in water, in forest, and in human blood. If you bought one recently, you might have just paid a salary to a hitman. Welcome to the dark reality of the avocado industry. To understand how a simple fruit became a catalyst for organized crime, we first have to understand the addiction. 30 years ago, the avocado was irrelevant. In the United States, it was seen as a strange, fatty, seasonal delicacy. In fact, for nearly a century, the U.S. government banned imports of Mexican avocados entirely, fearing pest infestations. But then, the borders opened. Trade restrictions were lifted, and the marketing machine roared to life. A trade group known as Avocados from Mexico launched one of the most aggressive rebranding campaigns in history. They didn't just sell a product, they sold a lifestyle. They spent billions on primetime television slots. They dominated the Super Bowl advertising breaks, embedding the idea that no party is complete without guacamole. They successfully engineered a global craving. The result was staggering. Consumption in the U.S. skyrocketed by more than 400%. Europe and Asia followed suit. Suddenly, the world had an insatiable hunger for the green gold. But there was a geographical problem. The avocado tree is fragile. It is biologically demanding. It requires a very specific altitude, rich volcanic soil, and a perfect balance of sun and rain to bear fruit year-round. There is only one place on Earth where these conditions exist perfectly for mass export: the state of Michoacán, Mexico. This single state is responsible for the vast majority of Mexico's avocado exports. It is a multi-billion-dollar monopoly concentrated in a region the size of a small country. And in Mexico, where there is that much concentrated wealth, the sharks begin to circle. The dynamic of the drug war shifted. Cartels like La Familia Michoacana, and later the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, realized that trafficking drugs was risky. Heroin and meth require complex logistics, precursors, and carry the risk of life imprisonment. But avocados? Avocados are legal. They sit on supermarket shelves in broad daylight. The cartels didn't need to grow the fruit themselves. They just needed to control the people who did. They implemented a system known as cobro de piso, the floor tax. It is a sophisticated racket. Every farmer in the region, from the wealthy landowner to the peasant with 2 trees in his backyard, must pay a tax. They pay a fee for every hectare of land they own, and another fee for every kilogram of fruit they export. The cartels keep detailed records. They know exactly how much land you have, how much you harvest, and how much you sell. If a farmer refuses to pay, the escalation is swift. First, they might cut down a few trees. Then, they might burn the packing warehouse. If the message is still ignored, they kidnap family members. In Tancítaro, the so-called avocado capital of the world, kidnapping became a daily business transaction. The fruit that ends up in your salad bowl effectively pays a salary to hitmen, lookouts, and corrupt officials. It is estimated that organized crime extracts hundreds of millions of dollars annually from the industry purely through extortion. But the violence extends beyond the farmers. The cartels control the logistics. They hijack trucks on the highways. They force packing plants to launder avocados grown in illegal zones, mixing them with legitimate certified fruit so they can be exported to the U.S. Inspectors have been threatened and silenced. The money is too good, and the global consumer is too hungry. However, the human cost is only half of the story. The environmental impact of the green gold rush is arguably even more catastrophic. The avocado is a thirsty monster. To grow a single pound of avocados requires up to 70 gallons of water. That is 4 times the amount needed for the pine forests that naturally cover these mountains. As the price of avocados rose, avocado fever took hold. Landowners and criminal groups began illegal logging operations on an industrial scale. They set fire to thousands of acres of protected pine and oak forests to clear the land for avocado orchards. When you fly over Michoacán today, you see a patchwork of scars. The dense, diverse forest is gone, replaced by endless monoculture rows of avocado trees. This deforestation destroys the natural water cycle. The pine forests used to capture rain and replenish the aquifers. The avocado trees, conversely, drain the aquifers dry. To keep the export-quality fruit green and heavy, producers dig illegal wells and divert rivers. They steal water from local communities. In some indigenous towns in the region, the ground has literally cracked open. Giant fissures have appeared in the earth because the water table has dropped so drastically. Locals are left with dry wells and water rationing, forced to buy water from trucks, while the orchards destined for Walmart and Costco are irrigated daily. The agrochemicals used to force the harvest are another nightmare. To meet the aesthetic standards of Western supermarkets, perfect skin, no blemishes, farmers pump the soil with pesticides and fertilizers that are often banned in other countries. These chemicals wash into the local water supply, poisoning the very people who work the fields. The ecosystem is collapsing, sacrificed to feed a foreign appetite. So, who is responsible? It is easy to blame the gunman in the mask, but the cartel is just a parasite on a host. The host is the supply chain. The giant supermarket chains and multinational distributors know exactly what is happening in Michoacán. It is an open secret in the industry, but the supply chain is deliberately designed to be opaque. When you pick up an avocado with a sticker that says, "Product of Mexico," it tells you the country, but it doesn't tell you the farm. It doesn't tell you if that farm was built on the ashes of a burning forest. It doesn't tell you if the farmer paid a ransom to save his daughter that week. The distributors hide behind complex networks of aggregators and packing houses. They rely on fair trade certifications that are often meaningless in a region where inspectors can be bribed or killed. The corporations prioritize consistency and price over ethics. If they were to enforce strict tracing, if they refused to buy from conflict zones, the supply would drop and prices would triple. You, the consumer, might stop buying, and that is a risk they are not willing to take. This is the reality of the global food system. We are disconnected from the source. We see the health benefits, the social media trends, and the delicious taste. We do not see the dried-up rivers, the burning forests, or the extortion payments. The avocado is not evil. It is just a fruit. But the industry that delivers it to your door is built on a foundation of willful ignorance and exploitation. The next time you slice into that perfect green skin, remember where it came from. Remember that it traveled through a war zone. Remember that it survived a gauntlet of corruption and violence to reach your plate. And ask yourself, is the taste really worth the price? Because as long as we keep buying without asking questions, the gold remains green and the ground remains red. This is just one item in your grocery bag. Next week, we will analyze chocolate and why it might disappear completely by 2040. Subscribe to Consumed. Know what you eat.